In a previous video, Byzantine said this.
I think you should go back to school, God's school, and relearn your crap. I think Von Helton is a lot closer to how things are going than you are. Yeah, okay. That's your opinion, but to be completely honest, I talk in facts, he talks in assumptions, right?
Are these giant reptiles, these giant lizards, these giant serpents, these giant dragons, really an opinion or a supposition or my personal opinion or a thought? Well, let's find out. Reptiles must be punished. You keep insisting you want to know, well, how did Zecharia Sitchin know this stuff? Alright, Zecharia Sitchin was a linguist. Alright? In fact, he was a very, very, very well-known linguist long before he got involved in the Planet X stuff at all. A world-renowned linguist. One of the best, actually. He had a very cushy job. He could have just remained a linguist, made a bunch of money, and lived happily ever after. But something shook him up. What was it that shook him up? What shook him up was he had to decode some ancient script from Iraq. Okay, and when he translated this, it blew his mind away. There was this people called the Anunnaki, giant lizards. Okay. And the interesting thing about these lizards is that they told him, don't display us as lizards. Display us as humans. So when they did their wall murals and such, you'll notice they have human faces, human hands, human feet. Because they told them, said, we won't let you display us as lizards, even though that's what they are. Now, as a contrast to that, over in the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas, and the Toltecs, they did show them on their walls as lizards and their sculptures as lizards. So it's very interesting but see, all over the world, literally all over the world, you have giant serpents, giant lizards, giant dragons, all throughout the world, all throughout our ancient cultures. No matter what country you're from, somewhere there is a giant lizard in your past. That's too big of a coincidence to throw away. That's too big of a coincidence to just shove under a rug and say, well, I just won't think about that. And I'm going to have me a cigarette. I just won't think about that. I'll just sweep all that hard data, stuff that you can go and see and touch with your hands. Okay? It's not supposition, it's not opinion. You can go to these places, you can touch the statues, you can see the paintings and the murals and such. So no, it's not my fucking opinion. It's not even Sitchin's opinion. It's not anybody else's opinion. It's cold hard fact. The murals are there. The statues are there. We've got statues in Europe with lizards on them. In fact, lizards embracing human beings, of all things. And in the Bible it says that they came down and mated with human females. What am I supposed to do with all this data? I mean, there's just, when you start looking for giant reptiles on this earth back in ancient times, you can't miss the damn things. They're everywhere. Japan, China, Russia, America, South America, Central America, Brazil. I mean, they're everywhere. You'd have to absolutely be blind, deaf, and dumb not to find them in the ancient scriptures. Ancient cultures. They're everywhere. You can't get away from them. And sometimes they're called a serpent, sometimes they're called a reptile, sometimes they're called a dragon. Doesn't matter. They were giant reptiles. Giant reptiles worshipped as gods. And it's all throughout human culture, all as far back as you can figure. We've got cave drawings that have astronauts on the walls. Clearly, they're astronauts. We have statues of astronauts. We have little statues of little miniature jet fighters. How the hell did these people know that stuff? They had to have seen it. They saw what they saw, and then they converted it into stone or into clay or whatever they had available at the time. But this stuff is not my opinion. This stuff is real tangible shit that you can go and look at and touch and go, wow, that's cool. Which it is cool. But this stuff is I'm not pulling this shit out of my ass. I mean, this is stuff that's been studied and researched and researched and researched and researched again. But anyway, back to Sitchin. These the linguist Sitchin deciphered these tablets, these stone tablets, from the Sumerians and the Babylonians and the Phoenicians and what have you, and it's these giant reptiles from a planet they called Nibiru. They called themselves Anunnaki, and they said, "We will come back. We will come back." And the Aztecs said, "We will come back." See, when the white man came, when the Spaniards came to Central America, the Aztecs, the Incas, the Toltecs, and the Mayans, they thought, well, hey, these are these giant reptiles coming back. They're just coming back in looking like humans. Because, see, one of them appeared to them as a human being. He wasn't human, he was a reptile, but he would appear to them as human. Okay, and I guess it was more comforting for them. I guess is why they did that. They said he had fair skin and stuff. So when the Spaniards come to Central America, they thought, oh well, our God is coming back, and he brought some other gods with him. Well, that didn't turn out to be, and we know what happened to them. But no, all over the world, literally all over the world, there is talk of giant reptiles, worshipped as gods, giving man knowledge, fire, the wheel, technology, whatever. There's such an overwhelming volume of information that it's too hard to ignore, dude. It's too hard to ignore. I can't ignore it. Sitchin couldn't ignore it. Nobody else that actually decides to get into this and study it can ignore it. And 2012 is the end of the Mayan calendar. And so, one has to think, well, is this the end? I don't think it's the end, because the calendar is round, okay? Now, if the calendar was square, and at the end of the square tablet it said this is the end, then I would be really freaking, because that would mean the end of all life as we know it. But the Mayan calendar is round, so when you get to 2012, it just starts all over again at 1. Okay, so 2012 is a new beginning, but it's a new beginning based upon what we do. All right, we have a hand in it. Like the Bible says in the book of Revelations, the dragon will try and attack this woman, but the seed of the woman, meaning man, will destroy the dragon, will destroy the great serpent. Okay, that's out of the book of Revelations. Hello, Christians. Yeah, you got giant reptiles too. Okay, so the seed of the woman, mankind, will destroy the giant reptiles, will destroy the dragon. And in fact, even the book of Revelation says that the dragon will take his tail and grab a hold of a bunch of stars and fling them to earth, or something to that effect. I don't have a Bible in front of me right now. But yeah, it's all there, man. It's all there. Doesn't matter what religion, doesn't matter what continent you're on. Somewhere there is big reptiles. Okay, it's unavoidable. So no, this is not my opinion or supposition or any of that. There's cold, hard facts to back up what I say. Alrighty?